This episode of Grilled is sponsored by Rationale, your leading provider in multifunctional hot food preparation equipment. Register now for a free Rationale live demo at www.rationale-online.com.
Welcome to Grilled, a podcast by the Staff Canteen. I'm Cara, editor of the Staff Canteen, and if you enjoy this podcast, please do share it with friends and colleagues. Now, in this episode, we are going to discuss some personal events which happened to a chef who has agreed to tell his story. This honest account of his journey from highs to extreme lows may resonate with some and hopefully inspire others. So, Lee Skeet, welcome to Grilled.
Thank you very much.
So, don't look so scared. As I mentioned, we are going to have a real honest chat with you about kind of your life over the past few years. But before we get into that, I'm going to ask you a few questions away from hospitality so we can get to know you a bit better. So to start with, you had mentioned that you previously worked as a hip hop promoter. Is that correct?
Yeah, for the last couple of years. I stopped cooking about 3 years ago for a little bit, and during that time started getting into promotion, mainly hip hop.
Okay, cool. So if you could cook for one artist, who would it be and why?
Jay-Z, best rapper of all time. He's like someone I really respect, not just for his rapping, but just for everything he's done, from where he's come from, a bad background, and the way he's turned it around, and just how humble he is. I'd love to cook for him.
Yeah. And what would you cook him?
Same as I cook everyone else, just produce from the southwest, simply cooked.
I'm sure he would love it. Would you want Beyonce there as well, right?
No.
No.
He has me doing all sorts of,
And if you could step away from the stove and be on stage, what would your artist name be?
On stage? Oh, no, you'd never get me on stage.
Yeah, but if you could, what would you be called?
Frothy Latte? I don't know.
I can see that headline in Glastonbury.
I can't think of a decent rapper name.
Oh, well, see, this is why I like to put people on the spot.
Yeah, no,
Interesting
if I'd prepared for
responses.
that, I would have had a really good one.
Maybe we can have a think about it and we'll come back to it at the end.
Yeah.
Obviously we've been in lockdown, coronavirus, it's all everyone's talking about, but what has been your weirdest lockdown moment? Have you had any odd moments that you can think of?
Nothing really weird. Like the weirdest part about it for me is that I've turned my living room into a tiny little restaurant, basically. Like, that's the most bizarre thing that's come out of it.
Yeah, which obviously we'll talk about, won't we?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Nothing too weird. I live by myself, so I don't really get a chance to see anyone for anything weird to happen.
So you said you live by yourself, so if you were to open your fridge at home right now, what would be in it?
All the prep for tonight's table. Mackerel, brill, suckling pig, duck, lamb, all sorts.
That's a good fridge.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not bad.
Usually I ask chefs and they're like, a bit of cheese.
And tons and tons of non-alcoholic beer. That's mainly what's in my fridge.
Right, okay. And final question. So you can pick 3 people, dead or alive. Who would you love to go and have dinner with? Obviously socially distanced.
Jay-Z again, Kendrick Lamar, and Barack Obama.
Ah, cool. So why those 3? Obviously Jay-Z you've explained, but why the other 2?
Barack Obama, because I just think he's probably like the best person ever in the world. Kendrick Lamar, because same reasons as Jay-Z, just I respect all 3 of them. I respect a huge amount for where they've come from and what they've done, and their talents and their humility mainly.
I feel like there would be a hell of a dinner party.
Be all right, wouldn't it?
I feel like it'd get quite messy.
Bit karaoke.
Right. So, Lee, for people who don't know you, tell us a bit about your career to date, like who you've worked for and your plans that you had for yourself. You don't need to go into too much detail about the past couple of years, but leading up to that, because we'll get into that.
I started cooking as soon as I left school when I was 16, just working in pubs down in Devon and not very good places. Did a bit of travelling, and then got my first proper job at Gordon Ramsay at Claridge's about 10 years ago. I started off there and learned all the basics. Like, literally, I didn't know anything before I worked there at all, so I had to learn everything. And then from there, moved on to Marcus Waring at Barclay, and a bit of time in Germany, doing some pop-ups with some decent chefs over there. back to London, Tom Aikens, and then to Hedone. And finished at Hedone about 5 years ago. And since then, I've been doing my own supper clubs and pop-ups here and there.
I mean, those chefs are all pretty strong characters that you've worked for.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
You need to explain your response there.
I don't want to. They're all very, very intense. They bring the best out of everyone that works. Well, not everyone, but they certainly try to bring the best out of everyone that works with them. And I got a huge amount from working with mostly Marcus and Tom Aikens. Although I was only at Tom Aikens for a short time, but I got a huge amount of benefit from working with both of those guys, just from their intensity and their hard work.
You mentioned that you obviously left Hedone and you wanted to open your own place in Cornwall, but obviously 3 years ago you got run over, which was that with your family? Because I believe I saw that on social media. Was that with your family at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and my son both got run over at the same time, so it was pretty rough one.
Yeah, and you had to obviously stop cooking because of like your injuries and things like that. So it sounds horrific, Lee. So just talk us through that in as much detail as what you feel that you want to.
How it happened, we'd just been out it was me, my ex-partner, and my son, who was 2. And I was like pushing him along in the pram, walking along the pavement. And my partner was pregnant, 7 months pregnant, and she was stood just behind us. And a lorry swerved onto the wrong side of the road, came up the pavement at us. I just saw it like last second, tried to shove my son out the way. He was on wheels in his pram, so I like shoved him as far as I could out the way. And I just got mowed down by the lorry.
My God, honestly, I can't even imagine, especially obviously your kids and your partner at the time being there and being pregnant. That must have been horrendous.
It was pretty rough. My main thing was like the next thing I knew after I got run over, I was just on the floor, like covered in rubble and blood, and I was just trying to get to my son. So that was the main thing. My partner didn't get hit, but me and my son got hit. The lorry went over me, but just like bumped into him and knocked him like down the road. But my main thing was like trying to get up and trying to get to him, which was my leg was like not in a good state. So I was like standing up, falling over, just trying to get to him really. So it was a bit rough.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, more than a bit rough. So what injuries did you have then? Because obviously you said that, that was kind of the catalyst, like having to try and come back from that for like what happened to you following that accident. So what sort of injuries did you have?
My left leg got crushed, and then I was completely covered in like cuts and bruises, obviously, like a lorry going over me, but my left leg was just like completely crushed, and took about 2 years to heal from that, to be like walking properly, and still have a bit of a limp now, but I try and pass it off as walking in like cool.
So yeah, you said, because obviously we've spoken before, we've done this podcast, and you said that was the catalyst of you getting into trouble, as you put it, with police and drinking. So I suppose it just shows how easy it is for something to happen in your life to change everything and to drop you into a bad cycle.
Yeah, it was literally like that's it. Like I think everything is before my accident and after my accident. Like literally from that second that happened, changed everything completely. So I was doing all right before then, cooking loads. I was like fully booked for the next 6 months on supper clubs as well. And then just like in a couple of minutes, freak accident, and all went a bit tits up.
So why did you? I mean, maybe you don't know, but why did you go the way that you did? Like, because you said obviously you got into trouble with the police, you started drinking. I'm assuming drinking too much. Was that just because
it felt like the right amount at the time, to be fair?
Okay.
But I don't know. I just didn't have anything to do for probably a couple of months. I couldn't walk at all, or like meters. And then when I could walk, I could only walk to the shop, And it was summertime, so like my natural thing is I walk to the shop. It take me like an hour to walk 50 meters. I'll stop and have a beer, and then like I don't know. And then when I could walk again, natural place to walk was the pub. And then, and then I think I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think I just got in a bit of a bad cycle of not being able to work physically, not having anything to do and no focus, and feeling sorry for myself. And the pub was the go-to place to obviously like see everyone, but also to just get away from everything as well.
Okay. And did you ever think that would be something that you would do? Like that would be a cycle that you would fall into pre your accident?
Not really. Like I've always enjoyed a drink, and I've always enjoyed socializing and going to the pub or like going out with mates or whatever. But it's just I wasn't really going out with mates then. I was just like going to the pub to hide, basically.
So the reason that I wanted to talk to you today and how this has come about is because obviously I saw a post on Instagram about a different accident that you had, and that is, I suppose, I think you said that was kind of a result of this behaviour that you'd got into. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
So talk to me about that accident and what happened there.
So I was just in like a really bad run of luck, basically, and making bad decisions and just things not going well, and drinking and being an idiot, not being very productive, not being very good for anything or anyone. And it kind of culminated last like Christmas, New Year, and where I was like, my kids had just moved away from Cornwall, so I was a bit down about that. And just getting in a lot of trouble, just silly fights, like stupid stuff. And just went out one night in January and again drank too much, again got in a stupid fight in the pub, stupidly got in my car because I was an idiot and crashed my car, and I really badly crashed my car.
I was going to say, you didn't just crash your car, did you?
No. Just lost control completely. Had no control to start with. And went off like 30-foot drop and flipped the car and like no seatbelt or anything, just being completely stupid.
What went through your mind when that end of that accident? Like, what did you think?
Nothing really went through my mind. It was more that my mind was going through my windscreen, so I didn't really think about anything else.
Okay.
I was like, I don't know. I think I was like unconscious afterwards, and then sort of like came round and people had to like smash their way into my car, and I was just a bit in shock, I think. And I don't know. I think I just like sat there in shock until I got arrested.
So after the accident, you moved from Cornwall to Cardiff. That's right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said that was your lowest point. Like, how did you know that was it? Like, this is as low as I'm going right now.
I was hoping it was. It was, but like it couldn't have got much worse, to be honest. Like, I don't know. I moved up here because I needed to get away from like the cycle that I was in. But then I didn't really know anyone in Cardiff at all. So I was like, by the time I got here, I've got no money, nowhere to live, no friends here, really. Like, I just, again, got in the same cycle of got nothing to do. So I go to the pub just to like sulk, I guess. I don't know.
Let's talk about how you then turned everything around. What was the point where you went, I can't keep doing this, like something has got to change? I'm assuming you had that thought process in your mind. Something must have clicked in your head for you to start to change what you were doing.
I think it was like lockdown starting, really.
Okay.
So locked up one morning, woke up as usual, went to, I never like watched TV or anything before, never like kept up with the news, so I didn't know what was going on. One morning I just like went to the pub and pub was shut. I was like, oh, about time I start watching the news, I think. And it was when lockdown started, the first like week or two, I was just nothing to do, just by myself, living by myself, feeling sorry for myself, and drinking. And I don't know, there's no specific one thing that just happened, but I just think I woke up one day and was like, just going to stop all this, and just stopped that day.
Would you say your kind of first positive step was after that? What did you do to kind of keep going in the right direction?
So one of the biggest things for me was to start exercising.
Okay.
So I started running, and like the first day, I was fat as well. By the way, I wasn't. I was so fat. I was some fat, bloated, bearded mess trying to get my ass out for a run. I ran about 100 meters, and I was exhausted. But I ran 100 meters, and I hadn't done that for years since my accident, probably. And then the next day I like ran 120 meters, or like did a little bit more, or ran twice or something. And,
so like small goals.
Yeah, just the biggest problem for me was drinking. But it wasn't addiction to drinking. I never felt addicted to drinking. I don't now. Like I'm around alcohol all the time. Drinking's never been a problem for me. It's that how I feel when I drink. It's like I'm drinking to like get away from my actual problems rather than I'm not there. I'm not in the pub to drink. I'm in the pub to hide. Mm-hmm. So as soon as I stopped drinking, that was a massive, like, I couldn't really sort anything else out until I stopped drinking. And I literally had, when I stopped drinking that day, I had like whatever drink it was, like a beer or a rum or whatever in my hand. And I was like, right, you can, I've got a daughter who was 2 at the time. And I was like, you've got to choose one. You can choose Cora, my daughter, or drink, and you can only have one in your life, because like that's just how it is. You can only have one, and I just never drank. So I was obviously going to choose my daughter, and then it was easy for me. I never touched a drink.
So how long have you been off the drink for? Like, do you know?
I was for 3 months, and then I have had a drink since then, but not. There's been a couple of times where I've like gone for dinner, or just been with a friend or something and had a couple of glasses of wine. Mm-hmm. I did that and a few times, and then recently I just decided I'm just not going to drink anything at all. So now I don't have anything at all. Not for the alcohol side of it. It's just I have one glass of wine and I feel depressed for a week. Like I just feel awful.
Right.
It's just like, that's what it is. It's not the alcohol. It's just, I feel how I feel.
So the exercise, stopping drinking, eating better, that then obviously cleared your head a bit and gave you the room to start thinking about cooking again, right?
Yeah.
Then that was when you've done your supper clubs, which you mentioned earlier in this chat, which you said you basically turned your living room into a restaurant, which sounds brilliant. So it's simple and probably exactly what you needed, right?
I didn't cook. I didn't think about cooking for literally years, and then I was sat here having like sorted myself out a little bit and just got a new flat and lived by myself. And I was like, there's too much space in this room for me. It's just like half the room's empty. I just thought, I can why don't I just buy a table and like just start cooking for people? So I did. I bought a big table, 6 seats, and then just put it on sale online. And people just started paying to come over, and it's gone from there. And now it's doing well.
So how often are you doing the supper clubs then?
6 nights this week, and normally 5 nights a week.
Okay.
Some lunchtimes, just whenever anyone wants, basically.
Yeah. Which obviously is amazing. But you did still have some obstacles to get through, right, before we move on anymore. And that was that you obviously got sentenced for the accident that you had for 4 months. And that was before the first supper club, right?
Yeah, the week before I had to go down to Cornwall for my court case.
How did you deal with that as a kind of, because that's just like another obstacle, isn't it? You're starting to get back to where you want to be, and then you've got to go back through all that again.
Yeah, I kind of just ignored it, to be honest. I just planned everything as if I didn't realise I was in as much trouble as I was, to be fair. I thought I was just going to get a little warning. But yeah, I had to go down to Cornwall the week before the sub club started, and obviously got found, I pled guilty, and I got told I was getting 6 months prison, which I wasn't expecting. But luckily at that point, I actually got taken to the holding to go to prison. Even got that far, and then my solicitor carried on arguing. And at that point, I could show I'd brought like drinking drugs test results with me.
Okay.
That showed how long I'd been sober for, and I could show that I'd obviously like moved away and sorted myself out, and built a good relationship with my children, and just turned everything around as much as I'd done everything I possibly could have done, rather than just waiting for my sentence. So my sentence got suspended for a year, and they let me come back here and carry on as I was, trying to improve. So
now back cooking, and you said you feel like you're like cooking some of the best food that you have ever. So that's a real positive.
Yeah, I am. I don't think I've cooked better than I am at the moment. I just stopped worrying about like that. All that time I've been away from cooking, I haven't seen what anyone else is doing at all. I don't look at other chefs or restaurants or anything. I think that's massively benefited me, where before I'd always be like looking at everyone else, same as everyone does, I think, and comparing myself to other people. And now I don't. I just have a table with 6 seats, and I cook what I want to. Don't worry what anyone else is doing. Don't worry about anything at all other than just cooking as well as I can. And it's been really beneficial for me to just do that, to just cook once each day.
You said obviously they're really busy and popular, which is brilliant. So what's the kind of feedback and response you've had from people? Because it's a completely different thing, really, isn't it? Just to come to someone's living room and have food cooked for you.
Yeah, it's been really good. I was a bit wary at first because, like, obviously in London there's quite a lot more going on in terms of supper clubs and pop-ups and things like that than there is down here in Cardiff. As far as I know, this is the only like home supper club anyone's ever done in Cardiff, as far as I know. So I don't know, I was a bit wary how people were going to take it or what it was going to be like, but it's gone from, we had a lockdown in Wales that finished last week, and then as soon as that finished, it's just gone mental. Like every available booking's been taken, and everyone's pretty happy. I think it's kind of, I think it helps a little bit with all the restrictions at the moment. People don't really want to go and like go out to a restaurant with all other guests and all the messing around with all the waiters in masks and all the stuff like that. And it's quite nice here, I think, that they can just, the feedback I get is that people can just come here and relax with their mates and just chill out for like the first time during all of this.
And you must be like really proud of yourself looking back over these past few years to where you are now.
I wouldn't go that far. I'm like glad that I'm not. I recognise that like I've done a lot. Like, I've tried to do my best, but I'm only ever like a little bit away from messing everything up again. So I'm glad that I'm all right. I'm glad I'm doing okay, and I'm intending to keep going like that as well.
Well, I feel like a lot of people listening to this will either relate or be possibly inspired by the fact that you have hit the bottom and you have picked yourself back up again, because that's a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, it was awful. Like, it was very challenging. It was the worst thing I've ever had to do, obviously, but it is possible.
I do want to go back to the reason why we're talking today, which was the Instagram post that you put up, which you have since taken down. Tell me why you put that post up in the first place and what the post said, obviously, because people who might not have seen it.
Yeah, the one you're talking about was basically just someone trolling me. someone running their mouth off, like someone that would never say anything in face to face, as it always is with people online. I can't remember what the original post was, but it was something, I think it was about a skate park we donated to down in Cornwall, but someone commented on there, I won't use the same language, but like pretty offensive language, and just slating me for being in trouble with the police and just mouthing off, which really, really, really got to me. So I like retweeted it, and with my response, which was just, no, actually, they were basically saying I was trouble and I just kept getting in trouble, and I'd run away from getting in trouble with the police and I hadn't been punished for it, which is completely untrue. So I just responded and said, no, actually, if you knew what happened, I messed up completely. I've always owned up to it. I've gone to court. I handed myself in at the time. I've got my punishment and I'm doing my punishment at the moment. And that's just not how it is. I was just sick of, I get it all the time. All the time I get from little weasels like that, just have something to say online. And it's like, I don't know what motivates someone to take time out of their day to write something negative online about someone else. It really bugs me. I'd rather they just say it.
Yeah, and I suppose some people who do that might not realise the effect that they're having on other people, right? Because this, obviously this has happened to you, but it's stuff that we read about all the time, isn't it? That people being attacked via social media, and it's awful.
Yeah, it sucks. It's like, I can cope. I'm a big guy. I can like take a bit of criticism, but it's just when you see something negative or something wrong that's negative, especially, at least like say something negative about me that's true, because there's enough. But like it just like ruins you. For me, it just like ruins my week. It just makes me feel awful, and then I just feel like all the positive stuff is like tarnished a little bit, or people see it and people will take something from it that's untrue, and then they say that to someone else, and before you know it, you're like this scumbag again that hasn't done anything to make himself better. So it's people don't realize that one little comment they say, how it can affect people.
And so why did you decide to take it down?
I was advised by someone to take it off my business page because it didn't look very good.
But you obviously felt the need that, to defend yourself. Do you think social media is the right platform to do that? Because social media is amazing for so many things, but it's also, like we've just discussed, it can create some real negatives, can't it?
Yeah, social media is great for me. It's great for promoting work, getting people to come to dinner, but I try and avoid it as if I can. I get sucked into like, it's so easy to like, I could get in an argument in an empty room anyway, but like, but like, people can just say anything, can't they? Like, if you're at least if you're in the pub and getting an argument, it's a real argument with a real person who genuinely doesn't like you. Anyone can say what they want online, and it's just, you get the biggest cowards talking, and it's toxic. I like try and when I was trying to get myself out of my little rut I was in, part of that, I didn't have Facebook or anything for the whole time. I just stayed off of everything completely, and it helped massively. And now I'm like, oh, I've got to get rid of Facebook. I've got to get rid of Twitter and everything. And if I find myself on my phone, I'm like, no, get off of there. Like, go for a run or do some prep or do anything other than just sit on social media. It's harmful to people, or it is to me anyway.
Yeah, no, I think it's probably a trigger for a lot of people, actually, that you get pulled into that social media space and
it's just hard to ignore people, like the people that have something to say on social media, that are the kind of person that would say something about someone or say something negative or call someone out on Twitter or whatever, is always the kind of coward that would, if you walk past them in the street, wouldn't say a word to you. They feel empowered to like talk crap, and that's what frustrates me the most. It's like, no, if we were both standing in the same place, you wouldn't say anything. So I just feel it's like unjust. Like, you can't say it now, especially like in public, like publicly online. Like, say, like, come and see me and say it to me. And it's just, they don't.
I mean, it's hard. It is hard to ignore, and I think it's credit to you that you've realised that social media isn't something that you need. Well, certain parts of social media is something that you don't need in your life. So, which I think a lot of people would benefit from coming to that realization as well. I think it's very easy to fall into this, like I said, this social media void where it's just such a massive part of life now, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely.
So, having been through what you've been through, have you got, I don't want it to be a cliche, but have you got any advice for anyone that might be feeling like you did, like a bit like, oh, you didn't have anything in your life, no motivation? Like, do you have any advice for people? Because I think you're a good example of, like I said before, you have pulled yourself back up again.
I don't know if I'm the best at giving advice. I just know that what worked for me is trying to spin things around rather than, I had a lot of like negative things in front of me that were stopping me from doing anything. I was like, I could do something positive today, or I could just sit here and have a pint. Like, so that was an excuse. I just made every excuse I could possibly think of because there's so many things in front of me. And then, this sounds really lame, I know, I'm not like some motivational speaker or something, but like, the thing for me, like, I really like a challenge or a battle. And when I made those things that were obstacles for me, I was like, right, there's these 5 things that are stopping me. If I picture them as put these 5 things in front of me and I say I'm going to fight them one by one, then that like kind of just gives me the like, I'm not going to see it as an obstacle, I'm going to see it as a fight against that one thing. And then once I've put that one down, I'm going to go for the next one and just try and attack things rather than let them stop me is what has helped me. But again, like I said, I'm not like the Dalai Lama. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, you've been through it, you've experienced it, so I think it's good for people to hear what your thoughts are on it. Did you have support through it, Lee? Did you have, friends, family, colleagues, anything like that? Because I mean, we are at the minute doing a series on mental health within hospitality industry, and people being supported by either employers or managers and things like that. And I know obviously you'd kind of stepped away and you were doing your own thing at that point, weren't you? So I don't know what support systems you had in place, and did you take that support or did you push it away?
I had people like wanting to help me for a long time before I realized I needed any help. Like, people telling me to have a look at myself and to talk to someone, and I didn't want to listen. And it took me a long time to actually go and like talk to someone and address what I was going through. I haven't really, I think initially, to get out of whatever I was in, I needed to be alone. So I didn't want people to, I wanted to get back to my strongest and back to like actually offering something. I just didn't want to, I just was too embarrassed for people to see me struggle to get there. So the best thing that I did was just, and it helped that it was locked down here, I just shut myself in a room for a couple of months, and was like, I'm not coming out and I'm not going to talk to anyone or do anything or see anyone until I'm like come out and I'm proud that they see me.
I mean, obviously it works different ways for different people, doesn't it? Some people, as soon as you start talking, then that's kind of the trigger to help you push yourself forward. But
yeah, recently I've like definitely over the last month or two, I've had a cut like with that troll guy, like times like that, I have little moments where I'm feeling awful, and I'm lucky now I've got someone that I can talk to. And I've been, the biggest thing as well, actually, for me, one of the biggest things was when I was feeling crap and when I was drinking a lot and when I was just being useless, I've just turned into the worst liar ever. I just lied about everything.
Really?
Yeah, just
why?
I don't know, because I was too embarrassed. Like, I'd lie about everything, every single thing and think that people didn't realise I was lying as well. So a massive part of me changing stuff now, I just was like, right, whatever I do now, I'm going to just tell the truth, no matter how bad it is. And it's such a it's such a relief, because now it's like, I always think, like, if you're completely honest from the start, no one can ever hold anything against you. No one can ever use anything against you ever. If everyone knows everything bad and good about you, no one can ever bring something up. It's like the final battle in 8 Mile. It's like when Eminem's like, "This is me. I've done all these things. This is why I'm a loser. These are all the mistakes I've made." Right now, you say something bad, and they got nothing to say. It's really refreshing to just be open. So now I do talk a lot, even if it's negative, then I say it, and I find it really, really good to just be honest for a change.
Yeah, I think that's really, really good advice. Really good advice. I do. Well, the thing is, you start lying, and then you've got to remember those lies, haven't you? And you've got to
It's a
remember.
nightmare. It's so nice to not have to worry what I said to who.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I would be like, I'm just going for a run, and I'd run 100 meters to the pub and stay in the pub for 2 hours, and then walk home, and then the last 20 meters I'd run back. So I'm panting a little bit. Stupid stuff like that.
You put so much effort into those lies.
I didn't even need to lie about it. I should have just said I'm going to the pub.
Yeah.
But I just found the need to just lie about everything, and now I just don't lie about anything.
Well, good for you. Well, I mean, you've been very honest today, which, like I said, is really refreshing, and it's been really good to talk to you. And to finish on a positive, one of the things that you did say to me pre this was that you want to do fine dining alongside hip hop, and that's a huge part of your supper club. So tell me a bit more about that. That's obviously your two passions, right?
Definitely, hip hop and food. To be honest, I'll always choose hip hop over food. But I really love things that contrast each other. So I've always wanted to do, I wouldn't say fine dining, but a tasting menu that I do, but somehow incorporate hip hop into that. And for a while I was doing the supper club, I'd have the usual chilled out coastal chill music in the background, and I was like, this isn't really what I want to do, is it? And so I don't know, just one day I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just gonna make the playlist for the supper club and play hip hop. And pretty much every night since I'd done that, people were raving about the music to me, more so than the food, which is unsettling. But I've got a pretty good playlist on the go at the moment. So it's the Bone Supper Club playlist on Spotify. If anyone wants to look at it.
That's a good plug.
Yeah.
Use it. Why not? So my final question is: have you come up with a better stage name?
No. I've been distracted answering the other questions. No, sorry.
Okay, well, we'll stick to the one you gave me then, which is a corker.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for having a chat with me. I really, really appreciate it. And I really hope that this can help other people to listen to what you've had to say, what you've been through. And if anyone wants to talk to you, I suppose if you still have your Instagram
yeah, only good
DMs.
Me if it's good though.
Yeah, good
yeah.
DMs. I'm sure that you would be happy to talk to people if they wanted to. And yeah, good luck with your hip hop pop-ups. They sound amazing, and I'm going to go and have a look at go and add your playlist to my Spotify as well. So
yeah, nice.
But thank you for joining me, Lee, and I will speak to you soon.
No worries. Thank you very much.
We hope you enjoyed this interview, and if you have any comments, feel free to tweet us or comment on the post. We're making all of our interviews available to download.
And if you want to support us to continue creating great content with amazing people from the hospitality industry, please take a look at our contribution scheme on www.thestaffcanteen.com.
This episode of Grilled is sponsored by Rationale, your leading provider in multifunctional hot food preparation equipment. Register now for a free Rationale live demo at www.rationale-online.com.